Dr. Sean Lin will speak about the forced organ harvesting against Falun Gong. Dr. Sean Lin is the Communication Director for Falun Dafa Association in Washington, D.C. He served in the U.S. Army as a Medical Service Corps officer and was the lab director for viral diseases branch in Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. Dr. Lin is a survivor of 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre and was detained in China in 2000 for his activism to end the persecution of Falun Gong. Please welcome Dr. Lin.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the unmute button suddenly stuck in the middle. And so I would like to first thank you for all the organizers and also all the panelists. It's my great honor to join this panel discussion. And it's also great to hear Sir Jeffrey Lee's inspiring speeches. And so regarding about the forced organ harvesting happened to Falun Gong practitioners, I think it's definitely very important to recall what the China Tribunal has concluded. So the China Tribunal has made a final judgment that the crimes against humanity has been committed in China, and these including murder, extermination, imprisonments, and other severe deprivation of physical liberties, and also torture, rape, or any other forms of sexual violence. Also, in any involuntary disappearance, right? So Sir Jeffrey Lees also emphasized that it was indeed Falun Gong practitioners who were used as a source, probably the principal source of organs for forced organ harvesting. So I think these historical judgment made by China Tribunal has made it very, very explicit, and it was the result of really thorough year-long investigation. And so I believe that both international transplant medical communities, as well in general, probably the whole international medical community, need to take to heart for this conclusion. And in any occasion, if they have any public engagement with the Chinese Communist regime, they need to talk about this. They need to present these conclusions, these judgments, and demand Chinese government to stop the organ harvesting. So I think once the China Tribunal make this judgment, the situation already changed a lot a bit in terms of how we deal with a Chinese Communist regime, because it's not a time again to call for independent investigations. I think right now it's critical is actually for international society to be united to take action, not call for another independent investigation. Because just like recently we saw the WHO leading the investigation go to Wuhan to try to find the origin of the virus, the COVID-19. But you can see when Chinese regimes arrange all these investigations, there's no way the international society can know the truth, can know what exactly happened inside China. And so it's critical that we should adopt the strategy of distrust and verify, just like what Secretary Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo has emphasizing. Dealing with the Chinese Communist regime, you need to distrust and verify, and you need to separate the Chinese Communist regime from Chinese people. And so under these kind of pretext, I think it's very, very important to see that the Chinese Communist Party not only did not stop the organ harvesting, the forced organ harvesting, they actually still escalated. So even just for the last 2 years, we know the organs continue to be available on demand, and phone calls to hospitals, the transplant centers in 2009 indicate extremely short waiting times for organs. I just need a couple of weeks, you can get a liver transplant. This is unbelievably a very short waiting time. So indicating the Chinese government still running a large living organ donor bank. And the World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong has also conducted thousands of phone call investigations and also searching internet data, web archives to compare many of the reports from Chinese media as well as the transplant center's own webpage. And they already find out that the Chinese government have a large amount of existing living organ donor banks in different parts of China. And so the fundamental situation is that CCP live harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners' organ has not been stopped, even though the China Tribunal was so shocking to the whole world and it was widely published, but the Chinese government still denying it. And also they've been using the WHO to help them cover up. And so the problem is that the international organization like World Health Organization has been collaborating with Chinese communist regime to help them deceive the whole world. Just like WHO formed this task force for organ donation system. And it was actually initiated by the Chinese communist regime. And one of the notorious doctors who was involved in organ harvesting, Dr. Huan Jiefu, he was also actually the initial member for this task force. So basically, CCP now can run these live organ harvestings under the cover of the World Health Organization, and they can keep deceiving the whole world, saying now, since 2015, we have voluntary donation systems, right? Because before 2014, they deceived the world saying they are using the executed prisoner. But after that lie cannot sustain, they choose another lie. They say we make new voluntary systems nationwide. So they are fabricating data showing them more and more Chinese people register as organ donors, right? So these lies, just one after another, just like the Chinese Communist Party lie about the COVID-19, about the human-to-human transmission, that already present a huge risk to the global community, but the Communist Party doesn't care about the life of Chinese people as well as global community. So when the international society is not facing the challenge, the realities the Chinese communist regime did to the whole world, we actually suffer from these, you can say it's educated negligence. Many of the governments not taking strong enough actions to deal with the problems, and many of the government even avoid confronting the Chinese community on these fundamental crimes against humanity issues, and people not addressing this issue directly with the Chinese communist government as well as the medical societies in China. Because in China, if Chinese Communist Party control all the legal systems, judicial systems, military systems, armed police systems, and the media industries. They can cover up anything they want. And if they don't want the whole world to know the truth, it's very hard for international society to go into China to expose the true situation. And so if the United States and many other international society not united, the Chinese government can always hide and find different excuses and deceive the whole world, and the whole world will suffer more and more from the crimes committed by the Chinese communist regime. So I want to emphasizing that my fundamental message is that the key issue here is how we deal with the Chinese Communist Party. It's not just about the medical ethics issues in China, about the transplant industries, because the Chinese government state-run forced organ harvesting has already turned into a large industry. To many of the transplant centers, it's like a vampire addicted to sucking the blood from people. They already in this kind of status. If you did not deal with the Chinese Communist Party directly, the rampant forced organ harvesting in China won't stop. So definitely I call for international society to take strong actions to condemn China to take active actions in legislations to stop organ tourism in China. And I'm really impressed by Dr. Levy from Israeli, and he advocate in the Israeli parliament to stop the insurance company paying the coverage for organ sources from China. And after the legislation was passed and no Israeli people go to China for organ transplant, I think it was very powerful, and the medical community just need common sense. They don't need additional investigation in China. Just based on your common sense, take actions. I think the international society can take actions. Just depends on your will and your common sense. So I hope the more and more people globally can step forward to urge Chinese Communist parties to stop the organ harvesting. This is not just regular crimes against humanity. It's a cold genocide. Recently, I think Maria Chong, Thorsten Trey, and also David Matas had a publication describe the organ harvest happened in China as a cold genocide. It takes time. It's not a hot genocide, but it aim to wipe out a group, a specific group based on their religions, and they can take time using any means they wanted. So this is a very dangerous situation, and also it's an urgent issue. So that's why I'm a call for international society to unite together and take action to stop the cold genocide of forced organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners in China. Thank you.